Welcome to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we're looking at this time is a newer line, at least at the time of this video, from Chef Knives to Go. This is the Kanehide Ps60 Gyuto 210mm knife, and you can read about it on the web page, on the product page, but they've went looking for some different stainless steels, and they found one and did some special treatment to it to gain some edge retention. And what they came up with was something they call Ps60 for pure stainless 60 around 60 Rockwell hardness. So there's your Rockwell hardness about on that core steel. And the construction is mono steel, so there's no layers or cladding on this knife. It's all one hunk of steel, ground and shaped. The weight on the knife is about 182 grams or 6.4 ounces. Edge length right around 210 on the nose, 8 1/4 inches. And on this batch of videos, I'm starting to use the word edge length because I measure the edge rolling it on a board. So it's basically the curve of the edge. That's the length of that. The overall length is about 13.2 inches of the whole knife. The spine thickness on these are fairly thin knives, so they've got spine thickness about 1.9 millimeters coming out of the bolster above the back of the blade here. And then they pretty much hold that until you get, I don't know, a couple inches from the end, and they start to thin out pretty nicely towards the tip. These have a good performing tip on them. The blade height is about 45.7 millimeters, so it's got a little bit of height there for some board clearance for your hands. And the handle is just kind of a no frills. I'm going to call it pack-a-wood, but they call it rosewood on the site, but I think it's really more of a walnut color to it, but it's basically stabilized wood. So just kind of your standard stabilized wood fare, a nice warm color tone. Fit and finish on this knife is excellent. Not only is the handle ground well with the rivets and the bolster, but they've also done some finish work to the spine and also to the back of the blade, what's known as the choil back here. So everything's nice and smooth right out of the gate, ready to roll. There's nothing you really have to do to the knife. They have a very, very good out-of-the-box edge. I'll give this a good solid 6 out of 10 out-of-the-box edge. And if you put a little bit of stropping to it, it'll get really sharp. These have screened-on kanji versus chiseled kanji or embossed kanji. And as you can see, the fit and finish on the blade is well done. It's a machine finished blade. They do have some extra finish work on the right side of the blade, which is the right side as you hold it, where it kind of curves into the edge bevel. The back of the blade does not have the same treatment, so they've shaped the right side of the blade just a little bit. I'm a lefty, have zero steering issues with this blade at all, so I wouldn't let that bother you one bit. Performance on this knife is excellent. It's got a great all-around performance characteristics. Knives like these aren't especially non-stick according to, have great product release, but that's just kind of the nature of this style of knife. But the performance through soft ingredients is really good. Not much wedging through harder vegetables, root vegetables and such. It does a really nice job all the way around. The steel has been getting good reviews from some professionals who've been putting it through their paces and putting quite a few hours on it. And the edge retention so far has been shown to be very, very good. So this line of knives is basically the same as the TK line, only this is full stainless versus semi-stainless, and this has higher edge retention, although sharpening will probably be a little bit easier on the TK steel, although from the reports I've been seeing, the sharpening works pretty well on here, pretty equivalent to something like AEBL. So let's take a look at it on the board. Here we have kind of for a 210, it's a pretty good all-around profile. So it's got a gentle curve or belly towards the tip. I can get fairly high on this knife before doing any digging in on the tip on the cutting board. And then it just kind of goes into a fairly continuous curve and a slight flat towards the heel, not much. So this is definitely not a super flat chopper type knife, but works well for most general techniques. It should push cut, pull cut nicely, rock really well. Again, not a pure chopper, but for a 210 with a compressed profile compared to a 240, I think it's got a really nice profile. It's just butter smooth, no hiccups in the profile at all. So these are just a really solid performing knife. For the money they've got right now, they're kind of the king of the hill, in my opinion, on steel, fit and finish, edge retention, attention to detail, just ready to roll right out of the box. So really nice knife line from Chef Knives to Go. So this is the Kanehide Ps60 stainless Gyuto 210mm knife.